Hey gang, Ronin here, and it is with great pride and relief that after a delay of nearly 2 years, I am more than happy to let you know that the virtual Retrocade is back open. We are back in business, and boy is it glad to be back. Let me get the usual particulars out of the way. If you're not familiar, easiest way to follow the channel is to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. I'm a bit rusty, so bear with me on this. Also, be sure to follow us on social media, on Twitter at @Retrocade. That will be changing soon, just to give you a heads up. I am planning on switching over from Twitter to Instagram for my social media stuff, for obvious and various purposes. Also, in the meantime, help us hit our goal of 100 subscribers. We are still in effort to try and hit that goal to unlock the customization algorithm and make this channel bigger and better. Even though I've been gone, we have not forgotten about our usual staples here at the Retrocade. Those include Sports Saturday and Suckerpunch Sunday. Are pretty self-explanatory. Sports Saturdays where we go back and play a sports-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. Whereas Suckerpunch Sunday, we play a fighting platform-based game from those systems. We also are looking to bring back our one-day features, as well as WTF Wednesday. The one-day feature is where we take a game that you can usually beat in about a half an hour. They tend to be the older games like your NES and your Sega games, but there's so many to mine from those systems that it's worth going back and taking an exploration and a deeper dive into them. And it's just a fun challenge. It's something that you can take care of in a pretty bite-sized portion. And WTF Wednesday is a series I started where it was games that on paper seemed like a good idea, but in theory, or in reality rather, they ended up becoming kind of anything else but. And you can go back, and I still have all of our original episodes on it. So I did one on, we did a classic video game version of Family Feud for the Super Nintendo. I did one on Brunswick Pro Bowling for PS2, and I did one for the Super Nintendo of Caesar's Palace Gambling. So I mean, that's kind of the idea of, they're not bad games, but they're games that if you really want to sit down and play them, it does leave you scratching your head wondering what's the point of these when I can just go out and either watch a game show, or I can go to a casino if that's your thing, or I could just go bowling, you know? There's a lot of games that, in the rush to get content put on all of these systems over the last 30 plus years, there were a lot of companies trying to get the widest content possible. So that was the idea behind that. We're going to keep those going as well. And if there's a game that you'd like to see us feature on the channel, leave a request in the comments below or drop me a tweet, and it can be anything from the following systems: the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or MegaDrive if you live on the other side of the pond, the SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, and again, they can be any game you want. I'll give them an honest try if it's a game that I've never played before, or if it's a game that I want to go back and revisit, all the better. So, in the meantime, when last I left you at the end of May 2021, we were in the process of wrapping up the original Metal Gear. Not necessarily for the Nintendo Entertainment System, although that's the system that everybody usually identifies this series with, is where it got its start. But no, this is from the old MSX console that was never released in the United States. And the only way you can play this version of the game, this is Hideo Kojima's version of the original Metal Gear. Kojima, of course, is the man behind Metal Gear. Was to get it on the 2-disc special edition of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, dubbed Subsistence, on the PlayStation 2. So what we're going to do over the course of hopefully the next 20 to 25 minutes, and granted we've had a rather long-winded intro here, is to finish the game. Because I was debating about what I was going to play to get the Retrocade back up and running, and then all of a sudden realized I never finished this game. So shame on me for leaving you guys with an epic cliffhanger of that long, but also I would not be doing myself any justice by not going back and finishing what is far and away one of my favorite video games of all time. So, to recap quickly where we left back in May on Memorial Day of 2021, we had gone through the 3 fortresses that make up Outer Heaven, which our hero Solid Snake has had to infiltrate to try and destroy the monstrous machine that is known as Metal Gear. We have gone past numerous bosses. We have dealt with shotgunners and machine gun kids and fire troopers and seemingly impenetrable tanks. We have taken on all manner of soldier and mercenary and things that you can imagine. We have avoided pit traps and pitfalls and minefields and scorpion-filled deserts, all to get to this final area here, which is Building 3 of Outer Heaven, to go and have our final showdown, not just with Metal Gear, but with the villain behind the entire situation, who also happens to be our superior officer, Big Boss. So, all we need to do is go down this elevator, navigate what is easily the most dangerous traps and situations Snake will find himself in yet, go blow up Metal Gear, beat Big Boss, and then get out alive. Doesn't sound too hard, does it? So, what we'll do is we will go ahead and get started. Although, give me just a minute here. I have to do a bit of last-minute tinkering on my screen. And as we go through this, I'm going to try and get you caught up on as many things as I can relative to the Retrocade and why there was such a delay. Unfortunately, we have a long elevator ride to get us there. So when last I spoke to you in 2021, I was living in an entirely different part of the country, and I was doing an entirely different line of work. And as of April of that year, all of that went completely sideways. Going into details would be pointless, but let me just put it this way. I am now in an entirely different career field, and I'm living in an entirely different part of the country. So it took a great deal of time and effort to get that done. And then in the interim, when I was starting to contemplate putting everything back together, I also realized I desperately needed to upgrade my system. I was running a computer that had a motherboard and processor in it that were, near as makes no difference, a decade old. So if I want to be able to do this channel justice and really be able to record and produce content that I was going to be really proud of, I needed to make that investment and get things done. So to that end, I went ahead and spent a bit of money to get me a brand new motherboard. I got a new graphics card. I upgraded my processor, and now my computer is much more powerful and can handle everything up through PlayStation 2 games pretty easily. So that will make my ability to generate more content here a lot better. So let's get back into this. So we come down into this sub-basement here in Outer Heaven, and you'll see this gap here. This gap was where the oxygen tank was, which we needed to get to the final sub-boss, who was named Coward Duck. Because again, no lack of originality with Kojima and his titles. And then these are all the weapons we have at our disposal. You see we have our trusty handgun, we have mines, which are here, plastic explosives, which we will need to blow up Metal Gear, remote control missiles, which were helpful to get by electrified floors, our trusty rocket launcher, which we will absolutely need at some point, I have no doubt, our grenade launcher, and our Uzi submachine gun. Of all these, the rocket launcher is the most powerful weapon in the game, but it will do nothing against Metal Gear. So we have that, and then we have virtually all of the items. We have the only thing that we are missing here was there was a spot at one point in order to find our first big plot point, which was a Foxhound agent named Gray Fox. We had to get captured, and then when we got all of our gear back, one of the things we had in it was a transmitter that would have given our location away to everybody in the fortress. So we had to ditch that, and that allowed us to be able to carry on with our mission. So let's see here, and I have to be very careful of these cameras up the top, because they're not just cameras, they're cameras with frickin' lasers on them. And they don't muck about. And as we have found out, the Outer Heaven boss is Foxhound's commanding officer, Big Boss. So, I have 12 rations at my disposal. Rations is you see, replenish our life gauge, and I have to make these last to the end of the game. We have our body armor now, which halves the damage caused by enemy weapons, which is going to be absolutely mission critical from here on out. And we're gonna run. Okay, so we got through that. Now we just gotta run again. Don't get hit. Same thing here. Don't get hit. And let's see who the message is from. This is Big Boss, Solid Snake. Abort the mission. Return immediately. This is an order. I didn't get to read the rest of it, but we're obviously not going to pay attention to him because it's Big Boss and we know that he is not on our side. Whoop. And this is a gas room, which is where these clouds of smoke are coming from. Now, if we come around here, we can go through that door, or the fact that we can punch this and get that question mark means we can blow this wall up. But we have to be very careful of the amount of plastic explosives that we can use, because again, we need those for Metal Gear, so we essentially get one shot to get that wall right. And now, this is just ripe for a pit trap. Pit trap is where you will see the floor fall away from the middle and get wider, and I've got to get around it, otherwise if I get anywhere near the edge and fall in, I'm dead, game over, player one. Like so. But if I had gone through that other door, you see the size of it, that is a pit trap around where those crates are. So, we got lucky in being able to find our way past that. Now we have a decision to make going into this next room, because we're going to need our gas mask for sure. But in this room, there is gas and there are mines. And it's a question of what do I want to kill me more, the gas or the mines? Now I have enough rations to get me to that door if I move quickly. But if I step on multiple mines, that's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to essentially bait it as best we can. Come around that way. Oh, and I didn't get there in time. I was trying to get over to get to the gas mask. I was hoping I would have enough time to get down there and, or at least figure out the route through the mines. Now, luckily in this game, it's because it's an 8-bit game, it's not like the pattern doesn't change. So, all we have to worry about is getting back there. And because we don't have to free, well, we're going to have to go free that one hostage, now that I think about it, because he's sitting over there. So, get out of the way of that laser. Him. Build this back up and get our body armor on, because we get hit by that camera again. There we go. Duck that one, duck that one. Do not sit still. Keep going. Come around this way, don't get hit. And now we have to remember to open this door. Gas mask on. So back this way. One plastic explosive. Pull that wall open. Get around. One. Gas mask back on, and now if we go back in here and I load up the mine detector again, you'll see. So essentially what we got to do is hug the wall. Ooh, we hit one mine. Okay. And which key do we need to get through this door? Mine detector, card 1 to go through this door. Now, here's the real kicker. And this is something that was left over from when I first played the NES version of this game. You see that flashing floor is an electrified floor. And normally, there would be a switch at the top of the room that you would see look like an elevator dial. And all I have to do is launch a remote control missile, and I could blow it up. But there's not one here. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to run for it and hope we don't get to that door before, or we can get to the door before we die. Fortunately, we have a relatively full health gauge, and I'm just going to have to run for it and remember to make sure that I hit my left trigger to pull this up to get my rations. Fortunately, my rations are right next to my body armor, but we'll see if this works. So, 1, 2, 3, go. Ow, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts. I'll be able to use 1 ration. Ow. Get up here. And now we have Metal Gear. So now, in order to beat Metal Gear, what we have to do is we have to be able to blow it up utilizing the plastic explosives and avoid those cameras at the same time. Now, there is a pattern by which we have to be able to utilize the explosives to blow them up. And if we mess it up even a little bit, we're in a world of hurt. So, what we need to do is we've got to make sure we get the pattern just right, and hopefully we will do so. We have to do 2 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 2 on the left, and so on. So what you will see me do is as I'm trying to duck these cameras, is hopefully I will get these, and we'll know because Metal Gear will flash. And I missed. Ow. And I missed again. Now, I cannot miss another time, because we've got 17 left. Now I've got to get them all right. There we go, there's 1. Well, now we're hosed. So I might as well. See, this is the difficulty here because it's the next to last boss in the game, and you see if we put it right in front of its feet, it won't work. Oh, hey. But instead, we start right here, and we're back here with 19 plastic explosives. So at least we don't have to go all the way back down the elevator. So what we need to do is we need to bait this first camera on the right, bring it over here so it'll fire. That way we can put that down. Now we've got to go to the left. Okay, now we go back to the right. Ow. Now we have to go 2 on the left. And it's just a matter of coming around, being able to drop it. Now we have to go 1 on the right. And we have to go back and do 2 more on the left. Now it's 2 on the right. Now, if you can imagine having had to have played this game way back 30 years ago, before you had the virtue of things like GameFAQs and websites and people trying to tell you or giving you an easier route to understand how to beat this. Now I have to alternate, so right. Now he's turning red, which means he's almost gone. So we have to go 2 more, left, right, and then right, and that should be it. There it goes. Away goes Metal Gear. But now we've got an even bigger problem. Because now we have, with Metal Gear gone, the self-destruct sequence for Outer Heaven has been initialized. All personnel are ordered to evacuate immediately. And we've got only so long to get through this. Replenish my... And now we have Big Boss. I'm leader of the Fortress of Outer Heaven. Big Boss, I gave this mission to you, a rookie thinking I could use you to fool the rest of the world. But you were too good, you went too far. Snake, I'm not going down alone, I'm taking you with me, prepare to die. What he will do is he will follow us around. And the easiest way to do it is to bait him. And it's to sit right in the middle here. And use these crates as cover. With that, it only takes 5 of them, and he is dead. So we have now defeated Big Boss, but now we've got to determine which of these ladders we need to take. And luckily, we were told by a prisoner that we rescued that we take the one on the left. Because the middle one's a dead end, the one on the right is a dead end. And now we just keep climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. Boom. Down goes Outer Heaven, and Big Boss, and Metal Gear. Operation Intrude N313 was a success. No big deal, job done. That's all, no big deal. This is Radio KNK. We have a special news flash. Today before sunrise, a large earthquake was recorded in the vicinity of Galsburg, South Africa. And now we get the closing credits for the original Metal Gear. So, all told, it only took 2 attempts and all of 15-20 minutes to finally finish the game. Overall, this game took about 3.5-4 hours to finish. Which, for the time, back in the late 80s, early 90s, was a considerable chunk for a video game. You know, it's not like it is nowadays where you could spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours, quite literally, playing specific titles. So, that, everybody, is the original Metal Gear, made by Hideo Kojima for the MSX, but featured on the Nintendo Entertainment System from 1987. Again, there were definitive differences between the two games. For example, the end of the game had you, instead of fighting Metal Gear on the Nintendo version, you had to blow up a supercomputer, which was essentially a big TV screen that had guards around it that was pretty easy to take out. But there was also a glitch in the game that me and my friends found out, that if you went back through the door, back to where the electrified floor is, if you managed to hit down and to the right at the same time, at least the version that we had, it allowed you to skip the supercomputer and go straight to Big Boss. How it worked, I genuinely don't know. But it was just one of those built-in glitches that we discovered completely on a whim and allowed us to finish the game. So as you see, it was revamped in 2006 by Konami to be put on Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Subsistence, along with Metal Gear 2. Now when I say Metal Gear 2, I mean the version that was never shown. Oop. I'm not dead. Someday I'll get even with you. So now we get our final results, which I played on the original difficulty. I didn't scrimp it. It took me 3.5 hours to finish it. I did 2 saves, 10 continues. I hit alert mode 70 times, took out 306 soldiers, and I used 47 rations, and I didn't use a special item because we didn't have one. And out of that, my code name is Deer. I don't know particularly how to be able to get it, that your code name would be different. I assume it would be how many times you hit alert, how many people you take out, how long it took you to take it out, or to finish the game, etc. But that kind of leads to the replay value of it. But as I was saying, in the US, we got a version of Metal Gear that was released by Konami under their Ultra sub-franchise title called Metal Gear Solid 2 Snake's Revenge. It is not the official Metal Gear sequel. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake came out only again on the MSX the year after Metal Gear was released, and you had to be able to play it on the same disc for Metal Gear Solid 3 as this version of it. So at some point, because I want to go back and I want to revisit all these games, and now that I have the capacity to do so, I do plan on going back and playing Metal Gear 2, and it's a drastically different game. The animation's different, the style of play is different, everything about it is different than the original Metal Gear, and is even different than Metal Gear Solid, which is what everybody really acknowledges as the high point of the series, the original one for the PlayStation 1. So, in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this, and if you've enjoyed the series, albeit in a rather elongated version of it, best way to show it is, again, to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. We will have Sports Saturday and Suckerpunch Sunday coming back, along with our one-day features and WTF Wednesdays. I am in the process of kind of finalizing my recording schedules on all that, so also I've got to put together a bit of a list of games I want to be able to go back and play. So bear with me a little bit. If you've been patient with me at least to this point, I promise I will make sure that that is rewarded as soon as possible. Again, be sure to help us get to our goal of 100 subscribers as soon as we can. That way we can unlock the customization algorithm and make the channel bigger and better. If there is any game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or MegaDrive, SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a tweet at our Retrocade. Again, we're going to be in the process of updating our social media information. More news on that as it warrants. Till then, my name is Ronin. It is great to be back at the controls of the Retrocade, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.